Okay, so I believe we are live. I think we are live. I'm not sure if we are live. I need people to say in the chat that you are here. This is our first time doing YouTube live, so we're a little bit late. It's funny how, when you start something new and you think everything's going to go so smoothly, it's not going to be any issues. Yeah, as soon as it's time for us to start, we have to go put the baby down. The kids are going to bed late. Normally they're in the bed at 8:30. It's 9:08 and they're still awake, still up. And so, yeah. That's why we have wipes in the background. Yeah, it's a lot going on. However, we wanted to stay faithful to you guys because it's been a while, and this is literally our first video live chat in 2018. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're like 3 weeks in. It's okay. Bear with us. We have 3 children now, so we're still trying to, master the schedule and all of that. I noticed that the light is changing in the background. I don't know why. Probably just the way I move. I don't know if it's the laptop. It does that sometimes. So, excuse that. We have a light. Were you trying to hook it up? Okay. We have a light, but we're just going to use that next time. So anyway, babe, what you doing right now? Okay. So we're going to go live with Facebook because that's what we're supposed to be doing, and just waiting on Daryl to get it together. 1 second. So how's everybody doing? I'm trying to figure out if I can see the chat. If you all are new to YouTube's live chats, there is a chat box. I believe I'm not really sure where it is on your screen. I think it is in the right hand corner. I'm not sure, but please leave comments, ask questions as we are going through this video. So Daryl is going to log into our Facebook. That way people who are still on Facebook, who haven't quite come over to YouTube yet, can see us and enjoy this conversation. So initially we were going to talk about something else. I'm trying to get Daryl in here. We were going to talk about when your spouse is unmotivated. But we decided to change it up because just like the climate of the culture and time has passed and a lot of things have been coming up. In the recent news, we had Genuine. I'm just kind of throwing the topics out to you guys, and then we'll go over it. But Genuine was in it. I don't know if y'all know who Genuine is. He is a old school, I guess you could say old school R&B singer, and he not old school, but like what was that 2000s, early 2000s when he came out? Yeah, like early 2000s. It had to be. Was it late 90s? Late 90s, early 2000s. And anyway, he was recently on. Daryl saw it. He was on a show or something like that, right, in the UK. Yeah, and he was addressing the homosexual community.
Well, not really homosexual, but transgender.
Oh, the transgender community, and
this person who I guess used to be a man and is now a woman. Was trying to explain her frustrations about dating and stuff like that, and not really being treated like a woman when it comes to dating and stuff like that. And
so to make a long story short, one of the transgendered woman had tried. Well, she didn't try to. I guess she asked if she could kiss him or something like that. My children are still down here, so yeah. And he was like, nah, like no. And the transgender community, the homosexual, like the LGBTQ community was like talking about he was homophobic and all this other stuff, and it was crazy. They were like coming at his neck about it, and we were just kind of like, what you mean though? Like, it doesn't matter what gender you are. Like, if I don't know you, I'm not gonna let you kiss me. Like, nah. So that's where he was coming from. I think most people would say, why would I just kiss a random person? Like, regardless of what your gender is. And so people were really upset about it. And so I think we wanted to kind of address that because I think it's definitely an issue. Are we on Facebook Live yet?
It's not live yet, but I'm trying to figure out something.
Here, we could do this. Maybe. I think that'll work. Sorry, guys. We're just trying to. Should I press this?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Oh.
Here we go. Hey. We late, but we're on YouTube Live, and we're now on Facebook Live. So, yeah, just to recap, it's super dark. If you guys could see us, let us know if it's too dark. We can do something. We don't have can you turn one of the lamps on? So I was telling the people on YouTube Live that it has been a struggle for us to just get it together. Like having a new baby and the kids tonight somehow running behind. So we're like, it's 9 o'clock and y'all still laying in the bed. So we're here. We are here. Welcome. We didn't really do an official welcome. It's still so dark. That's crazy. It's bright over there though. Let me see if I can turn it. No, that doesn't help. Maybe just bring the light like over here. And yeah, so anyway, we were talking about what the topic is about. We had mentioned Genuine, the old school, don't know if we should call him old school or not, but R&B singer from the late 90s, early 2000s, talking about, I guess he was on a show in the UK, and he was, addressing some things with the transgender community, and they were saying how it's difficult to date. And so one of the transgendered women wanted to ask if she could kiss him, and he was like, nah. And so I guess, after that, they were the transgender community, the LGBTQ community were coming at Genuine like, yo, like you're homophobic, and saying all kinds of stuff about him refusing to kiss this person. And so we were just saying like, man, it's real sad that like, you can't just say no and it be okay. That's like, what's the problem with him saying no? Babe, do you want to interject that's better. It's still really dark, but it's better. Maybe bring it closer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just bring it closer. I know. Bring it closer. Careful. Yeah. So, you saw this clip. It's still so dark. You saw the clip. Do you want to go ahead and interject?
Let's see. So yeah, Um, basically, I mean, she described it. It's just that, you know, it's like he's, it was like one of those kind of like, seems like one of those like shows like The View where it's a bunch of people and they're having a conversation, and Genuine was like the special guest or whatever, and one of them, um, just was sitting next to him, and like we said, explaining the difficulties of being transgender and trying to get a date from a dude, because they know that you used to be a dude, and and Genuine was like, like he was trying to say like. He was trying to say like, like if I thought she was a woman, I might, like I think he was trying to say that he would give somebody a fair chance if they didn't know any better, if he didn't know any better. But um, you know, but in the process, he kind of ends up like I think in a test. I think she was trying to test him, like whether he meant it or not. Like, oh, so so you would give me a kiss, right? And he was like, oh no, like nah, that, And
He was
it's
like,
like
we're not taking it that
that
far.
That shouldn't be the test of whether or not he means it. So,
right.
So yeah, it didn't go the way she wanted, and apparently he got a lot of criticism for it. But all the people who gave him criticism ended up being Donkey of the Day on the morning show, Breakfast Club, should I say? So but so yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's not fair for anybody to get upset at this man for saying no. It's just kind of like, I mean, what do you really expect him to say? To be honest, like, if he was a female, would you be like? And she was like, "Oh, can I kiss you?" I mean, I don't know that the transgender person would want to because they're not attracted to females. That particular person. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? I don't know. It's still. I don't think it's fair for them to bash him for doing that. So
no, not at all. I think so. I think whenever you delve into these topics, especially for people like us, you're kind of towing the line between like two huge, easily offended communities.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think one, I think like you. What am I trying to say here? Like, so I think that we're moving towards like this idea of just kind of genderlessness.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work for everybody. I think specifically it doesn't work for science. Just I think when you're talking about biology and nature and science and all that stuff, like it's hard to just ignore facts to embrace somebody's feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Um, and I think so when we're talking about the fact that this transgender person used to be a man, like it's just a scientific reality that that person is still very much genetically a man. You know what I'm saying? Like the chromosome is still there.
Yeah.
It didn't go anywhere. Cosmetic surgery doesn't necessarily change you into something that you're not. It makes you look like the part that you think that you should be playing. And I mean, if that's the part you want to play, I mean, I think that's kind of besides the subject for our topic. But
yeah.
But like just if you're talking to another man who wants a woman, Um, and by a woman, I mean like a real one. And that's another thing too. Like I think I think as a rapper, when I say terms like real hip hop, some people who make bad hip hop get offended, or they make rap music that's not really that much a part of hip hop culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people get offended when I say real hip hop. Um, and but at the end of the day, like, there's real hip hop and there's other things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I say real woman, I mean somebody who was born with ovaries, somebody who has a period. You know what I'm saying? Like real things that make somebody really a woman. Like there's like the same way that we got offended when Rachel Dazio tried to say
Dolezal.
Dolezal, whatever, I forgot it.
Yeah.
The same way a lot of black people got offended when she tried to say she was transracial and that she was now black and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, you're not. You haven't. You didn't grow up the way that other black people did. Not that all black people grow up the same, but
right.
There's a sense in which we're offended when you try to claim to be something that we are, without having gone through the process. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the same sense, I feel like if I was a woman, I would be offended by a situation like transgendered women claiming to be women, but without like without going through the process. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's a certain way that women grow up and that they have to go through certain things or they go through certain things because of biological realities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That
and I think not to cut you off, babe, but I know that people in the community of the LGBTQ community would say the same thing, right? Would say, "Oh, but I went through, hard times because I was battling this, wanting to be something that I actually wasn't, and it was hard for them, or they got beat up because of, you know, just all of that, all that comes with that, which I know that is hard, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's just
that's bullying. That's not
right.
That's not womanhood.
Right. It's just it's just different. And again, we don't want to stay too long on this topic just because, that's not necessarily what we wanted to talk about. But sorry, just go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know some people would say that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what makes it difficult for transgender, like somebody in this person's situation who was like I saw another video not too long ago where a transgender little girl, I guess you could say, was expressing some frustrations about other boys at her school not finding her attractive or being interested. I'm like, whoever told this little girl that she was a girl and that was all there was to it, and it was that simple, was setting her up for failure.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to, like, at the end of the day, some people want to make babies. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, you can't get upset that you're not a real woman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you're not a real, like, it's not an authentic, like, fully, completely true genetic or biological reality. So you can't get upset when you find it harder to find somebody who's willing to ignore those truths. And
good night.
Good night.
Yeah, they're mine. Good night. Sorry, guys. The children are going to bed.
Yep. Good night. All right.
Go to bed. Good night. Hug and kiss. It's way too late, Levi.
All right. night.
We'll do it tomorrow, okay?
Go.
Good night, Mom.
Look at Levi trying to get in.
I know.
Bye, boo.
Come here. Yeah.
This is real life, y'all. Real life. All right, love you.
Stop saying that to me.
So fascinated with what's going on.
Mama,
Oh, come on.
see, look.
Bye. It's all in the camera.
In the bed.
Lord have mercy.
Quietly.
And make sure you turn that light off, little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, wrapping that up.
All right, so, again, you're setting folks up for failure. I feel like I've seen movies where, where there've been characters who were like, either robots or or something that made them not completely human or not completely whatever, and they were experiencing human emotions or something because of artificial intelligence, and they had to deal with the fact that they're not really human. You know what I'm saying? And even though they might have affections for this human person, it might not be reciprocated, or they might want to actually make babies one day, or whatever. And like, it's like that's just reality, son. Like, if you want to go outside of the realm of creation and nature, then you're gonna have to deal with consequences that are outside of those realms as well. So, and I have empathy, I have compassion. I meet people every day. I meet at least 20 to 30 people a day, and some of them are, they come from all walks of life, everything from transgender to Trump supporter, and they're all, when you have a one-on-one conversation with people, it changes things. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're not, it's different when you confront somebody with a group. You know what I'm saying? When they're in a group of people, whether it's at a protest or whether they're, in a cipher, or whether they are, for whatever reason they're in a group. You know what I'm saying? They might come across one way.
Right.
But when they're one-on-one in your car and you're having a personal conversation with them about life, or what they did this weekend, or how bad the day was, or how much they hate the snow, or whatever, like, it's a very humanizing experience for that group of people, whether you have issues with them or not. These cats are people just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? They have issues. They go through issues in the relationships. They have to pay taxes. They dislike Trump just as bad as much as we do. Like, it's, they're still very much human and very much people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have any issues with anybody.
Yeah.
But just like anybody else, it'd be, I think it'd be silly to kind of try to lie or ignore facts about certain things for the sake of trying to be accepting, or loving, or whatever. So so that's kind of where I'm at with that issue. But yeah, so nuances in relationships. So
did you want to start? Did you want to talk about that, or like go from the feminism and move into?
I think we're kind of working backwards already. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, I guess
because they're kind of married, like based on what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think let's talk about this Aziz situation.
So, if you all are familiar with Aziz Ansari, I hope I'm saying his last name right. He recently was accused for sexual misconduct. I don't know if we'll call it assault, because I don't know that it's considered assault. I don't.
Accused of that.
Oh, he was accused of assault. Okay, she called it sexual assault. No, it wasn't harassment. I think she said assault. But I think it was read when I read the article. It said misconduct, sexual misconduct, or something like that. And I was watching Desus and Mero, is that how you say it, their name?
Mm-hmm.
Desus and Mero. And they had mentioned the fact that, well, actually, no, I was watching something else, Instagram from the other dude that's with the Brilliant Idiots. It's a podcast with Charlemagne. Anyway, he did make a good point. He was saying, like, women right now, especially the women who have been, integral in the Me Too movement, women who are speaking up and, feeling empowered and all of that. He was saying, like, you guys have this power right now. Like, you guys are like super powerful right now. And you have the power to just, shut a whole man's life down, like completely down, and his career and everything. And which, some men, they deserve it, right? But he had made a point to say that you have the power to shut a man's life down too, without any evidence, without going to court, without any type of hardcore, what I'm saying, like proof that this man did what you're saying, which understandable, what I'm saying, like that's true. And so he was like, you also have the power to like shut a man's life down who is innocent, you know what I'm saying? So he had brought up Aziz Ansari's case. I don't know how to say his last name, but his case is it's a little, when I say sketchy, or I don't want to say suspect, but it's kind of like iffy. What they up there doing? They playing. We try to give them, instructions, go to bed, turn the light off. They up there playing. Sorry, I digress. So, the woman who was accusing him of sexual misconduct or sexual assault basically was saying, I had the worst night of my life. And when I read everything that she said, like her entire account, I read the whole article. I think from my perspective, it seems as though she was showing him and expressing to him that she was interested by allowing him to do things to her, right? She didn't say hardcore, no, don't, like, stop. She didn't say any of those words. She didn't say, I don't want to do this anymore. She did say, let's slow down. Okay, slowing down and stopping are two different things. But she kept saying slow down. And I think for him, and this is based off of what I read, for him it seemed like, well, you've already let me go this far. There's no way you're not, still interested in me, like touching you or kissing on you and stuff like that. Although she was annoyed. Like, she was just like, I'm done. I'm not interested, because he was being like, not aggressive, like I guess forceful in a sense, but not like forceful. He didn't really necessarily force himself on her. Okay, so there, like, you have to read it because it's a lot of nuances within the story, right? It's like if you're there, right? If you're there, she's her, he's him. You can't read what he's thinking, and I'm pretty sure he can't read what she's thinking, because obviously he's thinking, she was interested. And so at the end of it, she left. She ended up leaving after a couple of sexual acts had taken place. She ended up leaving, and I guess she was visibly upset. And she said that she was crying in the car and stuff like that. And the next day, he had reached out to her and was like, oh, it was good to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And then she let him know, like, listen, I was very uncomfortable. I was giving you nonverbal cues, but you weren't getting it or whatever. And, basically, I hope the next girl that you meet doesn't leave your house crying in an Uber or whatever like that. And so he was like, man, like, I totally misread that. He's like, I apologized, said, I'm truly sorry. Basically, he apologized. And so for me, okay, if it's not like he was like, girl, you lying, what you talking about? Or, and even during the time, I think it's again, it depends on your perspective and how you take it, but it didn't seem like he was like trying to rape her. They didn't have any, like, they didn't have intercourse, but they did commit sexual acts. So I think it's, yeah, it's real nuance, basically. It's just, and this is a normal thing that happens between a man and a woman. You know what I mean? If you're not super duper extremely clear on what it is that you want or don't want, like, and I was telling my husband this too. I was like, okay, so you got two types of men. One type of man who is who's famous, he has that, like, that power, quote unquote. I think for them, they automatically assume that a woman is interested in them sexually, right? Because she's here with me. I done took her out. And I think it's just the automatic assumption. I don't think they think much about it, which they probably should. But I think in his case, I think that's kind of where he was. And so, but for like men in general, though, like, y'all don't get cues, like especially nonverbal cues. Y'all just don't pick those up easily, and we do. Like, women, we do, because that's just how we're made up. But for men, it's not easy for them. So if you're not being clear, like crystal clear, and verbalizing exactly what you want, exactly what you mean, all of that, they're gonna just take it like, oh, you want more, you just trying, you know what I'm saying, you teasing me or you whatever. That's just what they're gonna think, and that's just being honest. And I'm not saying that what he did was good. I'm just saying, from his perspective, I could see why he thought she wanted to do more. You know what I mean?
And look, and we've been married for 10 years, and I still don't get nonverbal cues from her.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
today was a perfect example.
She left some towels on the mat from the bathroom in the hallway. She wanted me to wash the mat and the towels. I just took the towels off the mat and washed those instead.
I was like, you ain't washed the mat, though?
I was just like, to me, it's a mat. It's on the floor like it always is.
Yeah, it was with the dirty towels.
It might have been with the dirty towels. The dirty towels were just sitting on the mat. That's just how I saw it.
See?
You know what I'm saying? So it's not that clear and crystal. You know what I'm saying? Like, even for two people who've been living together for 10 years, like, we still don't. I don't get everything she's trying to say, and she doesn't get everything I try to say either.
Yeah,
so it's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
But and I think this is where Christians become the bad guy, because we're gonna say the obvious, and people aren't gonna like it, because people would rather. I think it's part of human nature. Like, you know what? Like, don't tell me that what I did was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me how to avoid the consequences.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me not to be careful in the kitchen so I don't burn myself. Just give me some fireproof gloves. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me I messed up. Just give me, like, the thing that avoids the consequences.
Right.
And I think that boils down to whenever we're talking about abortion or pregnancy or STDs or anything that comes from premarital sex, there's consequences that people are trying to avoid in other ways.
Right.
Like, give me an emergency contraception pill. Give me let me get an abortion. Let me get some. There's got to be a pill that can cure AIDS or HIV, or there's got to be something I can do to fix this consequence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And and I'm not saying that I'm against those things either. You know what I'm saying? Because I could have easily caught one of those, or I usually like, Christians are not out of the boat just because we're Christians.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of us did stuff before we became Christians that would have given us those consequences. A lot of us are still dealing with those consequences.
Yeah.
And so, look, it's not like we don't want a way out of those consequences either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, we can't look at it like it's not bad when there's obviously bad consequences that come with it. And and one of those things is um, the clear communication that should come with a sexual relationship with somebody if you were actually married. Like we tell married people all the time, like or we talk at least on in these conversations, like the need for there to be clear communication about what you want in the bedroom.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to have a good marriage, you have to have some good sex, and if you want sex to be good, you have to have conversations about it. I like it this way. I don't like it that way. Can we do it more often? Can we do it less often?
Yeah.
This time works for me, but it doesn't work for you. So what are we gonna do instead?
Right.
You have to have conversations about these things. You know what I'm saying? And if I think part of when I look at both of these situations, well, not both of them, but specifically this Aziz situation, like a lot of the trouble with that issue stems from the fact that it was just a date, and
yeah,
these two people who don't really know each other are trying to do this very intimate act.
yeah,
and there's confusion about what's okay and what's not because they don't know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not very clear. Like, this is how far I'm willing to go. This is how far I'm not willing to go. I'm actually interested or I'm not actually interested.
Yeah.
All this stuff isn't even, it hasn't been discussed. They're not talking about it. There's confusion. There's nuance.
Yeah.
And, all of that could have been avoided if they were just like, we're just going to wait till we're married. And meanwhile,
right.
we're just going to get to know each other. You know what I'm saying? So, but, again, that's not realistic for people who don't hold those values. So, yeah, it is what it is. But, in the meanwhile, we're going to tell you, we're going to tell you the truth. But, it's, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch and kind of referee from the outside. What do you want, Blue? Okay, go to bed. I know, I heard you. All right.
Go to bed.
Go. Good night. Good night.
Who did? You? Oh, Lord. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you want them to be in bed.
What's going on? I'm telling you, it's like, I don't know if it's like the enemy trying to get to us. Like, Lord, what's going on?
Of all day.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, anyway, moving on.
Welcome to life.
Yeah.
So yeah. But in the meanwhile, yeah, I think another major part of that conversation is the fact that, like, I think it's ironic too because we talk about like Trump and how he can just kind of lie about folks, and and certain communities, or a certain community will just kind of run with those facts, those alternative facts, and make assumptions about stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, but at the same time, on the flip side, like, if people can just accuse somebody without having, evidence and stuff like that, then, how different are these two parties,
Yeah.
And I think about, even when we're talking about non-sexual stuff, I think about that kid who got beat up, or he was saying, he said he was being bullied at school, and he did the video, and everybody was like, oh, this guy's a hero, and, let's bring him to this game, and let's give him this free stuff. Let's do
Oh, you're talking about the boy that was really getting bullied, and his mom.
Yeah.
Was
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, everybody was rushing like, yo, let's go, show our support for this guy. And then a couple people view his mother's Facebook page and find out that she's got a Confederate flag in some pictures, and then everything changed up, and it was like, wait, hold up, what's going on?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So, and I think that's just the nature of the media, and I think I think gossip and rumors and slander is just a lot easier to do now. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for sure.
Um, and again, and that's the double-edged sword of the internet. The truth can spread just as fast as a lie can. So it's really just it's really just um, made things it's really just made things amplified. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Babe, go check
yeah,
on
let me
them.
check on that truck
Because
because
it
I
sounds
heard
like I
something.
hear dripping. What? Y'all, my children, they just doing the most. It's like 9:30, well, 9:48, and these ninjas is still awake. Why? Why they awake? Why? Why? Anyway, um, yeah, what Daryl was saying. Um, I've lost my train of thought, but yeah, all of this stuff with you know, male female relationships, and or not even relationships, just the nuances in um the sexual assault. They trying to deny. I know, right? um when you when you I don't even remember what Daryl was talking about because the kids distracted me so much, but we were talking about the sexual assault stuff. Like, um, it's just a lot of nuances that come with it, and it sometimes can be very difficult to call it. Sometimes it's like, okay, that was clear, sexual assault, rape. It's clear, and sometimes it's not so clear. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I will say, I don't want to. I want to say this when we're talking about it. I don't want to like um, uh, dismiss how she felt, because how you feel, like, even if you interpret something wrong or whatever, like, her feelings were real. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's something to address and something to like, um, you know, shine light on. But
Mm-hmm.
I think she too should sit down with somebody and have them walk her through, excuse me, just what how the events took place, and then have her kind of like think through the things that happened. And yeah, but she just was talking to friends. She's like, yeah, my friends kind of like, um they're the ones that really helped me see it as for what it was. And I'm like, well, who are these friends, and have they experienced that? Or what,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, because I know I definitely, been in a situation when I was raped. I was like, I don't even understand what just happened. The only thing I remember is like one thing, and it was like horrible. And I just kind of was thinking like, maybe I drank too much, but I'm like, but I didn't even drink that much. And my friends were like, you were raped. And I was like, what? No, no. And they had to tell me. So,
Yeah.
again,
So
it's
there's again the difference between feelings and reality.
yes,
She didn't feel like she was raped, but in actuality she was.
right.
Sometimes it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you were raped and you weren't. Or you feel like you were assaulted and you weren't. So I mean, and that kind of goes back to a lot of our stuff about, uh, you know, um, you know, having, even with dating relationships and courting and whatnot, like you always want to have people involved who you can talk to help you kind of see the truth in the midst of your feelings.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's easy to be caught up or to get infatuated and to start thinking things that aren't really true about your relationship. Or like especially when you don't really know the person yet, you kind of you fill in the gaps of their character with things that you kind of imagine, um, and I think that applies to a lot of things, but I think specifically in this context, with these. these sexual encounters and stuff. I don't know why I use the quote fingers. With like these kind of situations, like you want to make sure that um, um, what you're feeling is based on reality, and and you can at least tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, this is what Daphne is saying is a good example. So I had to tell this guy he was molested by his babysitter. He said it wasn't rape because he wanted it. Mind you, he was 13 and she was 18. He don't know what he want. Exactly. Like you, even at 13, you think you know what you want, but you're a child. Like literally, he was a child. Like you were definitely molested. Like that's illegal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like yeah, you're not in a place to make that kind of decision when you're that age.
Yeah, no, that woman that was an adult.
18?
She, even though she was 18, she's still an adult because of sin. Because we just, I mean, I feel like we're a mess. We're all a mess, right? So, yeah, it's not really much explaining we can do, but say sin, like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's terrible. So yeah, all that to say, reality and feelings are different.
Yeah.
Make sure you know the difference.
And be crystal clear. I mean, if anybody who's watching who ends up in a situation like that, just be extremely clear with people you're dating. Now, some single dudes are avoiding pursuing women altogether for fear that they will be falsely accused of harassment. Mm-hmm. So they're saying if a woman is interested, she'll have to approach me. Oh, no. She'll have to approach me. I'm not taking any chances. Yeah, see, well, that's the other thing we wanted to talk about. That's crazy that you brought it up. And it's gonna be quick because it's getting late. But my eye keep itching because I think it's because I'm tired. So yeah, no, like I think for a single man, I understand. Like I get it because this. I mean, yeah, it's like. Cover your tail because you never know. Like a female can just feel uncomfortable and you ain't even did nothing and she, saying whatever. And that can happen for sure. But I think you should trust God and still, do approach the woman. And I think, so we were talking about a friend of mine, Lindsay. Sorry, y'all. My eyes itching so bad. And I'm sure it's because I'm so tired. But a friend of mine had posted. She had said, what do feminists think about women proposing to men?" And and it's a thing now. It's like really a thing. Like women have been proposing to men lately, and I totally disagree with that because, for one, like, so again, we're Christians, so we follow the Bible and we follow what God says on that matter. And, it's clear that the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing, not she who finds a husband. You know what I'm saying? And being that the man is the head of the household and, him approaching the woman saying, "I want to marry you," means he is willing to take on the responsibility of taking care of her. You see what I'm saying? Like he's taking on the responsibility of shepherding her, like all of these things that he's taking on the responsibility of. As a woman, I'm not like, if I do that, I'm communicating to you that I'm willing to take on the responsibility of taking care of you. I'm willing to take, like, nah, B, I'm not doing, like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I think you kind of rob the dude of the responsibility of leading when you do
definitely. Most definitely.
Like, because I think if you would have asked me in high school about a female proposing to me, I probably wouldn't have been opposed to it. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
In high school, yeah, because I was a punk.
That's crazy.
Like I was like, you know what I'm saying? Growing up, like the idea of women coming to me instead of me having to do the work of going to them and all that kind of stuff, absolutely, that would have been amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
You know,
funny.
the idea of me not having to put in like all this risky, um, you know, slightly like could be hurt, like it could hurt me emotionally if I get rejected type of like, you know,
Right.
stuff like if you telling me I can avoid all that and just wait for the female to come to me, that'd be great. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Um,
I'm sure some men
uh,
are with that.
yeah. So, and I'm sure there's a lot of them, um, but yeah. But I think as I grew up and I learned what it was to be a man and matured enough to understand the necessity of me being willing to take that risk for the woman that I'm pursuing. Um, Now I see a high value in it, and I
Mm.
realize the character that it requires in order to even get to that point. Um, and I feel like if you're still in a place where you're waiting for women to come to you, I understand if it's because of a reaction to all these sexual allegations and stuff like that. However, um, at the same time, like I'm like, nah, dude. Like, you need to grow up. You need to man up
Yeah,
and
definitely.
take responsibility. You know, and that's just part of the responsibility. Like, if you're gonna lead a household, if you're gonna, you know, lead a relationship, it's gonna require you to pursue. It's gonna
Yes.
require for you to, you know, at least initiate the conversation about, you know, what the expectations are in the relationship. You know, what kind of ground rules like what's the plan? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like all that kind of stuff. Like is like you know. And I think if you as a woman are
Sorry.
going to a dude and proposing, um, you're kind of robbing him of that. It's like you can't go to a dude and be like, hey, I want you to leave.
No.
Like while proposing,
No.
like by proposing, you're leading. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you're leading the conversation, you're leading the relationship. You can't expect him to put the pants back on after you took them from him. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like all right, I know I proposed. I know I put you in this situation, and by this situation I mean relationship. Um, but now I want you to take over and kind of lead things and make decisions and all that. It's that's just the wrong way to start off. It's like you watch the talk shows where the dude marries like somebody who's like either like in porn or a stripper,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and like all of a sudden they want them to stop.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
You
wait a
knew what
minute,
you got
but
yourself
you
into.
know you know what you got yourself into. Like they were a stripper when y'all started dating. Like why are
Right.
you upset now? Like you can't
Right.
get upset.
You feeling away.
You should have counted the cost beforehand. And it's like if you're proposing to a dude, count the cost because
Right.
you're asking to be in a relationship with somebody who is not willing to lead or is willing to be led. You know what I'm saying? So you can't
Yeah.
get mad when like all of a sudden he wants to, when he doesn't want to put the pants on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's not right.
Yeah. Yo, my eye is swelling up. Do you see it?
No, I can't.
I can feel it.
Yeah, I see it now. I don't know what you did.
I don't know what I did either, guys. Sorry. If you're proposing to a dude, count the cost. Right.
Yep.
Maybe I don't know. I think something might be in there actually.
It might be.
Sorry,
But
guys.
either way, it's about 10 o'clock.
Man.
If there's any last minute questions or comments, we'll field those real quick. But I gotta go to work and she gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As you can
so.
see,
Mm-hmm.
something is going on in my eye. I don't know if it's like something just got in there because it feels like it did. But yeah, I mean, it just all of a sudden started itching, but I think it's because I'm tired. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's bounce because we love y'all. We'll get it together. Wow, my eye looks crazy, guys. We'll get it together the week after next, and hopefully we'll be back on time. Kids in bed, brighter lights, all that jazz. So we appreciate y'all sticking with us. We love y'all. Peace. Oh man, let's see. How do we end it on here? got so swollen.